was exactly 1 month ago when the Duke Blue Devils went into Chapel Hill to take on their arch rivals North Carolina and led the majority of the game. But at the very end, it was Seth Trimble hitting the shot that shook Tobacco Road. North Carolina upset Duke in a last-second thriller. Now, a month later, Duke has not lost since. They're number 1 in the country, and North Carolina is reeling off of news of losing their best player due to injury for the rest of the season. We welcome you to this primetime matchup, and the greatest rivalry in college sports once again takes center stage in college basketball as the North Carolina Tar Heels have made the 8-mile trip to Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina to take on the top-ranked team in the country, the Duke Blue Devils. And hello one and all, I'm Matthew Owens. Welcome to Durham. Thanks for having us in for meeting number 2 of the year between Duke and North Carolina. Greatest rivalry in college sports, there's no doubt about it. And after what happened when these two teams played a month ago in Chapel Hill, you get the feeling that this game tonight is as personal as any game in recent memory between these two great rivals. Now, the big story coming in is, of course, Caleb Wilson, who had a phenomenal game against Duke for North Carolina in that first meeting in Chapel Hill. He had missed the last 6 games after fracturing his left hand in a loss to Miami. They went 5-1 in games without him, but then, of course, the news broke yesterday that Wilson will miss the rest of the season due to breaking his thumb in practice yesterday. So Wilson will not be back for this game tonight as they anticipated he could be, and he will not return for North Carolina's postseason run this season. It leaves North Carolina without their most explosive player, one of the most explosive players in all of college basketball, but it certainly does not mean they cannot win this game tonight and that they still can't have a March to remember. Tar Heels are 24-6 on the season. They're one of the best teams in the ACC and in the country at not turning the ball over and not fouling. That was a huge story in the first meeting. Meanwhile, for Duke, they are 28-2 on the season and now ranked number 1 in the country. Since that last-second loss to North Carolina a month ago, they've won 7 straight games by an average margin of 24 points. They've been blowing opponents out. Their most recent blowout was Monday night in Raleigh, beating NC State 93-64. They have the front runner for Player of the Year in Cameron Boozer, one of the nation's leading scorers at 22.5 points per game. He's also a great rebounder at 10 rebounds a game. They've already wrapped up the number 1 seed in next week's ACC tournament by winning yet another regular season championship in the ACC. Duke believes they will have and can have a March to remember. It starts here tonight, trying to get revenge on the Tar Heels after that stunning last-second loss in Chapel Hill. We are ready to go. Second meeting of the year and 267th all-time meeting between Duke and North Carolina. The Battle of the Blues, the greatest rivalry in college sports, taking center stage once again. North Carolina has locked up a double bye in next week's ACC tournament. They will be the number 4 seed, which means if these two teams do win their quarterfinal game in Charlotte next Thursday, they will meet again in the semifinals on Friday night. But a pretty big game here tonight before we even get to that, as we get ready to go and we get underway with Malik Brown controlling the opening tip for the Blue Devils, and the number 1 team in the country has the first possession of the night. Starting with Caleb Foster Isaiah Evans, Malik Brown, Dame Sarr, and Cameron Boozer. And here is Boozer. Left of the lane, getting doubled. Throws it cross court. Foster catches right wing. Puts up a three that clatters off. The bat tap by North Carolina's Henry Vessar is recovered by Duke's Isaiah Evans, who moves to the left wing and launches a three. Comes up short. Another offensive rebound. It's Boozer down low, forcing it up and in with the right hand. And after two offensive rebounds, Duke gets the first points. North Carolina with a starting lineup without Caleb Wilson now that includes Derek Dixon, freshman from Vienna, Virginia. Flipping a pass into the right corner to Jaron Stevenson, a transfer from Alabama. Then up top for Trimble. Feeds it left for Luka Bogovac, who had a huge game against Clemson on Tuesday night in the win over the Tigers. Back to Trimble, shot clock at 4. Outside right, reversal Vessar, extra feed. Bogovac left wing, 3 at the buzzer, up and good. And Bogovac picks up right where he left off on Tuesday night, hitting a 3 just as the shot clock wound down. He hit 6 threes and scored 20 points in what was a 4-point home victory over Clemson to finish out an undefeated season at home for the Tar Heels. Dame Sarr outside left, a reversal feed left elbow Brown, whips it right corner, baseline drive Boozer, skips it back to Brown, who leaves it in the left corner for Sarr. His three's off the rim, no good, and Stevenson with the rebound, and here comes Carolina. Seth Trimble picking up a major offensive load of this team without Wilson in the past 6 games. And Bogovac has it up top, shooting 33% from 3 on the season. Bobbles it on the right wing. Gets it into the corner. Dixon dives it inside, and Stevenson with the right hand flips it up onto the rim. It slides off, and the rebound down to Duke. Foster ahead. Motors into the paint, gets to the rim, shovels it up. It won't go on the back tap. Sarr recovers. Out to Evans. Slings it Brown. Left wing. He'll launch a 3. It's halfway down and popped out. Boozer tried to tap it away from Stevenson, but it's recovered by Henry Vessar, the 7-footer from Estonia, a transfer from Arizona, and North Carolina has possession again. Here is Trimble, the senior from Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, a veteran in a Tar Heel uniform. Up top for Vessar, swings it right. Dixon drives up the middle, and it's swatted away. Stolen by Brown, lofted ahead for Sarr. Sarr in transition goes at Bogovac, and his layup is blocked from behind. Vessar getting to it to swat it away. And it'll stay with the Blue Devils. Meanwhile, an interesting development for Duke. Patrick Gungba, the 6'11 sophomore from Manassas, Virginia, not in the starting lineup for Duke. He's only come off the bench one time this season. Inbound Boozer, short corner left, dumps it inside. Brown wide open with a great hesitation to get Stevenson to blow by and commit contact, and Brown scores, plus a foul. And a chance at a 3-point play for Malik Brown, as Stevenson bit on the hesitation, blew past him and contacted him on the top of his head. And Brown able to finish despite the contact, and a chance at a 3-point play. And the N1 free throw for Brown rattles out. Rebound chased down in the near corner by Stevenson, who just kept Sarr away from it. And North Carolina with possession. Duke does struggle at the free throw line at less than 73% of the season. That ranks just 182nd in all of Division I college basketball. Derek Dixon. Reversal up top, Vessar. Fans it left on the wing. Trimble around a Vessar screen. Dribbles to the top of the circle. Crossover dribble on Foster. Spins left. Fadeaway jumper in the lane. Goes down for Trimble, who puts North Carolina back in front. Trimble had 16 points in that game on February 7th, including the winning 3 with 0.4 of a second left. Foster threads a pass into Brown, cutting to the rim, and with the left hand, he scores against the defensive Vessar, and Malik Brown with 2 field goals in a row for Duke. Here's Dixon again for North Carolina. Winds out to the top of the circle. Dribble drive into the paint. Stops, pivots, and turns it back outside. Trimble with the ball. Stevenson comes out for it. Boozer defends him. Now Dixon gives it up to Stevenson, who swings left and shoots a wing 3 that misses off the back of the rim. Boozer the rebound. Cuts it ahead in transition for Dame Sarr. The Italian gives it to Boozer. Cross-court pass out of a double Foster. Right corner extra feed on the right wing, where Evans splashes down a 3. One of the best 3-point shooters in the ACC, Isaiah Evans, and he's been hot from distance lately. shooting 53% from three in the last 7 games. North Carolina back up the floor quickly, and Vesar drops a pass underneath the basket for Stevenson, who was open, and he dunks it down with 2 hands. 9-7. The Duke lead, as you can see. Here's Boozer, left elbow, drew a double, got rid of it. Brown spins his way to the rim and lays it in against the undersized Dixon. They are doubling Boozer every time he first touches the ball, and he is making the right pass out of it. Here's Vesar, left lane line, in on Brown with the right hand, hooks it up and in, and Henry Vesar, who was scoreless in the first half, the first time these two teams played, and then scored 13 points in the second half with a bucket there, and we have a stoppage as Derek Dixon is bleeding a bit from the nose and has to be tended to, so that will lead to a timeout on the floor here. And a good start on the road for North Carolina. Again, without Caleb Wilson, they are a heavy underdog tonight. They have shot the ball well to start here in Cameron Indoor Stadium. It is the last Saturday of the regular season in college basketball, if you can possibly believe that. Plenty of top 25 teams in action today. Houston with a win at Oklahoma State, 82-75. Virginia knocking off Virginia Tech, getting even in that series for the season. 76-72 win at home for the Cavaliers, who will be the number 2 seed in the ACC tournament next week. Arkansas got an overtime win without Darius Akoff on the road at Missouri, 88-84. 4th-ranked UConn lost on the road at Marquette. What a huge loss that is for the Huskies, who might lose a number 1 seed because of that result. Iowa State beat up on Arizona State by 21. Kansas beat Kansas State 104-85. Louisville had to come from behind late after leading most of the way to beat Miami on the road 92-89. Vanderbilt with a road win at Tennessee 86-82. Those two split their season series in the regular year. Florida beat Kentucky in Rupp 84-77. Wisconsin, just within the last half hour or so, got a win on the road, spoiling senior night for Purdue. A 97-93 win for the Badgers, and 25th-ranked St. Louis got rocked by George Mason. George Mason with a win by 29 points, 86-57. Later tonight, Auburn is at Alabama, Texas Tech at BYU, and Arizona, ranked number 2, goes on the road to Colorado. Those are the top 25 teams in action tonight and today in college basketball. Good start to this one here, just under 5 minutes gone, and as you can see, an 11-9 lead for Duke, the number 1 team in the country, as they look for revenge after that gut-wrenching loss in the final seconds to North Carolina in Chapel Hill just a month ago, in a game in which Duke largely led basically the entire way. The only time they did not lead was after Trimble hit the winning shot with 0.4 of a second left, and for much of the night, the lead was a substantial one, between 7 and 12 points. They got off to a great shooting start on the road, did Duke. And North Carolina made 3 threes at the end to finish on an incredible 9-point flurry and get the win. The only conference loss of the year by Duke. Duke with only 2 losses on the season, by 1 point on a neutral site to Texas Tech, and the 3-point road loss to North Carolina. Trying to one-up themselves by coming on the road to Cameron Indoor Stadium tonight without Caleb Wilson. They are an enormous underdog. In fact, this is the largest underdog that North Carolina has been against Duke since they played in 2002, almost a quarter of a century ago. Duke will inbound out of the timeout to restart play with an 11-9 lead. Inbound comes to Boozer, short corner left. They don't double him yet with Zayden high in the game and defending. Boozer trying to back him down, gets in the lane, spins left, then goes back right and gets to the rim and finger rolls it in. A tremendous move from Cameron Boozer, who has scored at least 14 points in every game this season. He had 24 points and 11 rebounds in the first meeting a month ago. Kyan Evans out of the left corner, centers for High, who hands off for Bogovac, backpedals to the perimeter, takes on Boozer, drives and kicks to the right corner. Baseline drive, Trimble underneath the basket. Reverse layup is good. 13-11, Duke in front, 5.5 minutes gone here. Cameron Indoor Stadium, Durham, North Carolina. Caleb Foster slashes on the perimeter from left to right to the top of the key. Bounce past Boozer, back out to Foster. He'll drive. This is where he's at his best. Now he pulls up with a jump shot off the right lane line, and he drops it down. The junior from Harrisburg, North Carolina, making his 52nd career start in a Duke uniform tonight. Career game 96. Another downhill drive to the rim by Trimble, and he lays it in, and Trimble's doing plenty of scoring here early for the road team. He has 6 of North Carolina's first 13. Left-handed dribble for Foster into the front court, drifts to his left, throws it back right for Boozer, handoff Foster, jab step, loops the ball into the paint, Boozer with a catch and a lob, and Malik Brown over the top, slams it down. Again, they came with traffic at Boozer, and yet again he made the perfect decision out of the double, lobbing it up for Malik Brown, who flushed it down. Here's Trimble outside right. Foster defends, spins it back up top. Bogovac takes a screen from High. Boozer switches on to Bogovac, who drives in from the right, whips it inside. High to the rim, had a layup blocked. Dame Sarr rejects it frenetically, and then goes to the rim at the other end and gets to the rim, but misses the layup. Rebound Evans. A quick drive by Trimble. Running floater off the glass, no good. Rebound Boozer. Long looping feet ahead. Sarr to the rim with authority. Slams it down with the right hand, but they're not going to count the basket. They call Sarr for a travel. And John Shire is letting his opinion be known on that call, as Boozer with a long outlet, and Sarr took one step too many as he caught it and erupted to the rim for a right-handed slam, but got called for a travel. So it's a Duke turnover. And North Carolina brings it back up with Trimble. Score stays 17-13. Trimble pivots on the perimeter. Centers for Jonathan Powell just into the game. Sophomore from Centerville, Ohio. Gives it up for Evans against Nicholas Heminia. Evans swings it up top. It's Powell again. Evans swiping at the ball, steals it. Evans comes up with the loose ball, and he brings it back the other way and shoots a transition 3 off the heel. Offensive rebound, Caden Boozer, who in the lane puts up a floater that misses everything. Rebound down to High, and in transition, he gets it to Evans, who steps back to the right elbow. Evans in the lane, and we get a whistle. And this came away from the ball, and a foul going against Duke. Meanwhile, we told you about Patrick Gungba. Did not get the start tonight. And we're trying to follow up on that story as North Carolina inbounds. He was listed as questionable before the game, but was seen stretching before the game started. As Trimble drives up the middle, scoops it up with the right hand, clicks off the rim, no good. Rebound Duke in transition. Nicholas Heminia gives it up down low for Sarr, and it's swatted out of bounds by a Tar Heel hand, and that will lead to a timeout on the floor with under 12 minutes to go in the first half. And Duke leading 17-13. So Malik Brown getting the start in the spot that Gungba would be in, and he's had a good start along with Cameron Boozer. Duke leading 17-13. Back in a moment. So again, just to follow up on the Patrick Gungba story, which has seemed to come out of nowhere and is a bit of a surprise to a lot. When not in the starting lineup tonight, he was listed. It was said to be a true game-time decision. He was out there stretching and warming up before the game. He has had foot injuries in the past. As Duke will inbound out of this timeout, play restarts, and here's Boozer driving in from the right, and his layup is blocked, and the rebound taken out of the air by Kyan Evans. Evans races into the front court. North Carolina with the ball. Centered up top for Stevenson. Dribbles right on the perimeter and hands off. Jonathan Powell on a back pedal. Directs it for High, who tried to lob it inside. Deflected away by Brown. Stolen by Hemenya. Hemenya turns, shovels it back. Darren Harris, cross-court pass. Right corner. Caden Boozer up for three, misses. And the rebound down to Stevenson. Tar Heels into the front court again to our right. Evans feeds it on the wing. Three launched and missed by Powell. Rebound batted at and taken by Hemenya. Both teams with a slow start from three. Duke has missed 6 of their first 7. Caden Boozer left elbow up with a lob. Trying to tap it in off the glass was Brown. It didn't go, but he draws a foul. Malik Brown, who is hardly a guy who you would say is a downgrade from Gungba. Gungba, one of the most important pieces to this Duke team, but Brown is extremely capable in his own right, making just his 3rd start of the season. Steps to the free throw line here, and he hits the first. But Gungba still on the bench right now. For the big man, the only player on this Duke roster above 6'9" in length, averages just under 11 points per game. Brown hits the second free throw. A 19-13 lead for Duke. So no Caleb Wilson for North Carolina, and perhaps no Patrick Gungba for Duke. Here's Trimble with a lob inside for Vessar, knocked away by Brown, who's a tremendous defender. Recovered by Trimble, given to Vessar now at the top of the key. He lines up a three that misses. Long rebound, high into the air for it went Powell battling with Boozer. Now Hemenya tried to rip it away, and he did, and it rolls out of bounds in the far corner. It'll stay with North Carolina with the shot clock at 14, but what a tremendous play by Hemenya in a bunch of traffic to get that ball out of the hands of Powell and contest the possession. John Shire looked like he might be thinking about challenging this play, thinking that perhaps it went off of Jaron Stevenson last. Hemenya ripped it out of Powell's grasp. Oh, and they have overturned it, and they've given the ball to Duke. And Caden Boozer flashes into the front court, goes down as a turnover. North Carolina has committed 4 already, and they only commit 9.5 per game on the season. Darren Harris curls into the lane and leans into a jumper and gets fouled by Kyan Evans. Darren Harris, who's been getting a little bit more playing time as the season's gone on, averaging 10 minutes a game off the bench. He's played 14 minutes and scored 5 points on Monday night's blowout victory over NC State. He'll go to the free throw line here, sophomore from Herndon, Virginia. Again, both of these teams struggle from the free throw line. Harris at the line here knocks down his first. He doesn't get many free throw attempts. That makes him 19 of 25 this season from the line. Duke ranks 182nd in all of college basketball in free throw percentage. North Carolina at less than 69% ranks 314th out of about 360 teams. Second free throw from Harris is good. He knocks down 2, and Duke's lead is 21-13 as North Carolina will bring it up the floor with Kyan Evans. Evans under a right-handed dribble. Brown out to Hedge and knock it away, and it's out of bounds. Last off of Evans, and Malik Brown, he does that all the time. He has such good hands, such good just general knowledge of how to play the ball defensively. And Duke off another North Carolina turnover brings it up into the front court to our right. Home white uniforms for Duke. And Hemenya has it at the top of the arc. Swings it right. Harris probes and dumps it in. Boozer draws the double, flips it across to Caden. Now back to Cameron. Right corner three is up and down. Cameron Boozer knocks down a three, and then again on the inbounds pass, Brown knocks the ball out of the hands of Dixon. It ends up out of bounds off of Brown last, but again creating chaos defensively is Malik Brown as Boozer splashes down a three, and Duke's lead is up to 11. 24-13, the lead for Duke. They've scored 9 points in a row. Here comes Carolina from our right to our left. Carolina blue uniforms, white numbers, dark blue trim. Dixon up top, reversal. Vessar puts it on the deck, drives and kicks. His pass is caught airborne in the right corner by Trimble. Back off the wing, Dixon sprints to his left, feeds it that way with the shot clock at 6. It's in the hands of Bogovac. Bogovac off a switch, has Caden Boozer defending. Steps right elbow, pull-up jumper, an air ball. Out of bounds, untouched. It'll go to Duke. And the Crazies will certainly let Bogovac know that he missed everything on that shot. 9:22 to go first half. And Duke leading 24-13. And up the floor they come. Caden Boozer, the freshman. Left side of the floor, left-handed dribble. Picked up defensively by Jaden Young, who doesn't play a lot. Just his 21st game of the year. Cameron Boozer up top, a lob. Deep catch by Brown. Back out for Harris. Left wing three lined up, no good. Rebound Bogovac. North Carolina does not have numbers, but Bogovac dumps it in for Stevenson. Brown knocks it away, and it's out of bounds last off of Brown. It'll stay with Carolina, but again, Malik Brown getting a hand on the ball. Tar Heels have missed their last 6 shots from the field. And Duke has taken that and gone on a 9-0 run to push the lead up to 11. Just past the midway point of this first half. Cameron Boozer goes to the bench to get a breather. North Carolina inbounds. Bogovac up top around a double. Gets it to Vessar. Dumped in. Stevenson cuts to the basket. Got behind Sarr, and Stevenson lays it in to snap that 9-0 Duke run. Isaiah Evans back on the floor for Duke, and Caden Boozer will bring it into the front court. Runs the point. Gives for Brown. Shoveled back for Caden, swings it left on the wing. Evans, and there's contact away from the ball. Stevenson and Haminia, I think, were the ones that got tangled. It's a foul going against North Carolina as Haminia ended up on the deck. Foul on the floor. Of course, foul trouble played an enormous role in that first game. Mentioned Gungba, who apparently is not playing tonight, fouled out of that game after playing just 16 minutes. Duke on the inbound. Looped along to the left wing outside the three, taken by Brown, given back for Evans halfway through the shot clock cycle. Evans no-look pass to his right. Foster has it on the midcourt logo. Creeps towards the arc. Timer at 5. Screen comes from Brown. Foster drives in from the right to the rim. Layup blocked by Vessar. Ball ends up out of bounds. It'll stay with Duke, but there's only 2 4/10 seconds left on the shot clock. Vessar, a shot-blocking machine. 12th in the ACC in block shots. Inbound Brown, back out. Left wing three, Haminia at the buzzer. Did not hit the rim, and that is a shot clock violation. The second turnover of the game by Duke, as Haminia could not get it to go with the shot clock running out. And North Carolina brings it back up from our right to our left. Dixon directs a bounce pass. Perimeter right, Stevenson. Haminia defends. Back up top, Young. Swings it left on the wing. Dixon draws a double. Looped it in. Vessar catches. Cuts it across the court. Young catches. Lines up a right wing three that misses. And in the scrap for the rebound, a foul going against Duke's Malik Brown, who contacted Vessar. That will lead to a stoppage in action with under 8 minutes to go in the first half. A 24-15 lead for Duke. Their defense so very good. One of the best defensive teams in college basketball, and they are swarming here early against North Carolina. Back here with North Carolina inbounding out of the timeout from underneath. Henry Vessar, left baseline, tries to back in on Boozer, turns right, hooks it up, and misses short. Rebound down to Cameron Boozer. And he gives for Caleb Foster to dribble into the front court. Boozer sets a quick screen up high. Foster gives it to Boozer, drives in from the left and draws a foul on his way to the rim. And Boozer will go to the free throw line to shoot a pair as he draws the whistle. Again, North Carolina without Caleb Wilson, as you likely know by now, as he is out for the season with a broken thumb that he suffered in practice this week. The announcement was made yesterday as Boozer hits the first free throw. And again, Patrick Gungba, starting center for Duke, did not start tonight and is apparently out of the game. Duke has not listed him as out of the game, but they said he was a game-time decision as Boozer misses the second free throw, rebounded by Vessar. Boozer with an early 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists as the Tar Heels bring the ball up. Bogovac up top, takes a screen, drives up the middle, throws it into the left corner for Stevenson, but it's intercepted by Haminia. Another Tar Heel turnover, and here's Foster the other way for the Blue Devils. Top of the arc, bounce pass Boozer, swings it left in the corner. Sarr drives the baseline, gets to the rim, and throws it down hard, and he does not get called for a travel on this dunk. That negated one earlier for him as Sarr crams it down with 2 hands. Trimble left elbow, got it out to Dixon on the wing, an open look at a 3, and Derek Dixon is able to sink a triple. Just the second three-pointer for North Carolina to start the night. 41% shooter from out there, Dixon. Here's Foster, top of the arc. Bounce pass to the left elbow. Boozer collects, turns, faces Trimble, spins, draws a double, kicks it. Foster up top. He's open for 3, and that clatters off the cup. Boozer on a back tap. It's recovered, though, by Stevenson, and North Carolina has it. Dixon stops on the left arc, squeezes it inside. Vessar got positioning on Haminia, and he turns to the rim to lay it in, and Vessar could have a very big night tonight without Gungba clogging a bunch of those lanes inside. Vessar with his second basket. 27-20. Foster directs the offense into the front court for Duke. Plays catch on the perimeter with Boozer. Foster turns it left. Evans puts it on the deck. Drives right of the lane. Pull-up jumper. Missed it off the side of the rim. Boozer got the offensive rebound. Drew a crowd inside. Kicked left corner. Sarr free to fire. His 3 misses. And Vessar secures the rebound for North Carolina. Dixon lost the dribble into the front court but picked it back up. Sarr on him defensively. A great defender, but he is called for a foul here. Foul on the floor. It's the 3rd team foul to go against Duke. (27-20) lead for the Blue Devils. Number 1 team in the country. Already secured the regular season championship in the ACC. They'll be the number 1 seed in Charlotte next week in the tournament. Carolina inbounds. Trimble up top. Swings it right, taken by Bogovac, who drove into a double team, lost the ball. It's a steal by Evans. Evans attacks, kicks right wing. Foster's free to fire, and his 3 splashes down. Caleb Foster extends the lead to 10 as North Carolina brings it back up. Dixon nearly lost it, and swiping at the ball was Evans and Sarr, and they call a reach-in foul on one of those 2 Blue Devils. Duke now has 12 points off of North Carolina turnovers. Again, North Carolina, one of the best teams in the country at not turning the ball over, less than 10 a game. They're top 20 in the country in assist-to-turnover ratio, but they've been turning it over a lot here tonight. They'll inbound near side front court. Trimble gets it in to Dixon, who's followed by Sarr. Back for Trimble outside right. Tries to dump it in for Vessar and does. Boozer defensively, right of the lane. Vessar backs in, kicks out. Dixon on the drive. Trimble lost it. Had it knocked away, he recovers. Trimble back to the left wing. Dixon off the wing, shoots the 3. That's off the rim, no good, but Stevenson slithered in to get the offensive rebound, and he lays it back in. That last foul, by the way, was called on Isaiah Evans, his 2nd. And Caleb Foster, meanwhile, for Duke, was crouching down after the play, and John Shire is out to check on Caleb Foster, who now will get back up, collect himself, and walk gingerly over to the Duke bench here. And it looks like he's favoring that right foot is Foster. And a member of the training crew gets up with him, and they are taking a look at that right foot of Caleb Foster, who for so much of the season has been the starting point guard for this Duke team. And that will certainly make Duke fans hold their breath as play restarts and Sarr brings the ball up. Hands off for Harris. Centered for Brown. Shoveled back to Caden Boozer. Directs it left to his brother Cameron. Cameron Boozer back for Caden. Top of the arc. Dribbles right. Hands off Harris. Gives it up for Brown. Vessar defending on the perimeter. Brown turns to his left. Down with a dribble. Pivots back right. Throws it that way. Caden with 5 to shoot. Puts it on the deck. Drives inside. And we get a whistle as Caden Boozer was driving his way in. And now Duke will inbound from underneath. So Duke will trigger in. And they get it up top for Boozer, who will drive up the middle again, hangs in the air, and lays it in. Caden Boozer with a driving basket. Pushes the lead to 10, 32-22. North Carolina again the other way. Trimble outside left, picked up by Caden. Trimble dribbles right, feeds it back left. Vessar darts it in. Stevenson backs in on Cameron, hooks it up with the right hand. Can't knock down the shot, but he draws a foul. And that will lead to a timeout with under 4 on the clock in this first half. Duke leading 32-22. We'll return in a moment. So Caleb Foster, just giving you an update there for the Duke starting point guard, rolled his right ankle, walked gingerly to the Duke bench, and now has been taken to the locker room for the Blue Devils. Out of this timeout, Jaron Stevenson at the free throw line for North Carolina rattles in his first. So, my goodness, you hate to see injuries in March like this, and we certainly saw it with L.J. Kaysen at Michigan. As Stevenson hits his second free throw, Caleb Wilson at North Carolina. Kaysen and Wilson out for the season, and now Duke dealing with injuries tonight to Patrick Gungba and Caleb Foster. Caden Boozer into the game to replace Foster. Threads a bounce pass up top for Malik Brown, who gets it inside for Cameron, who got positioning in the paint against Kyan Evans, and Evans grabbed him and fouled him. Sixth team foul against North Carolina, so from here on out, Duke will be in the bonus for the last 3:45 of this first half. They lob an inbounds pass to the foul line, caught by Boozer, who drives inside, gives it up across the lane. Boozer gets it to Brown, who whips it into the left corner, and Sarr is there to splash home a corner pocket three. Dame Sarr's first three of the night, and Duke's lead is up to 11, 35-24. Derek Dixon again for North Carolina. Reversal on the perimeter. They leave Stevenson alone to shoot a wing three. That rattles off the rim, no good. Rebound down to Sarr. Sarr flashes forward, centers it for Cameron Boozer, top of the arc. Feeds right for Brown, now back to Sarr. Drives in for the left, a flip up top. Cameron open for three. Off the heel, no good. Stevenson collects the rebound. Brown knocked it out of bounds. It'll stay with North Carolina. It's off Brown last. Does that so often. And again, Brown getting the start tonight in place of Gungba. Third start of the season for Malik Brown. By the way, Foster did walk to the locker room under his own power, is what is being said, but he was struggling to put weight on his right foot. As Carolina brings it up, Trimble outside right, Cam Boozer defending. Trimble feeds it in the right corner. Vessar entry feed for Stevenson, who catches right of the lane. Tries to back down on Caden Boozer. Brown comes in to try to swat the ball away. He ends up on the deck, and a foul is called on Brown. And, of course, we've been praising Malik Brown for so much of the night for how he's able to create chaos by getting deflections like that. But on a night where it seems like they don't have Gungba, Brown might have to be a little less aggressive than he normally is to not get into any foul trouble, but that is his second foul there. Inbound right corner, Vessar, who's able to spring it up top for Trimble to drive to the left elbow, then he hits the brakes. Out for Stevenson. Connected for Dixon off the right wing with Hemenia defending. Dixon a reversal. Vessar up top. Lets a three fly, and Vessar rips the cords from downtown. Brown, by the way, the second Blue Devil to get to two fouls, along with Isaiah Evans. They're both on the bench here for the final couple of minutes as Caden Boozer directs a bounce pass to brother Cameron. Top of the arc, Harris a screen. Cameron drives, had it knocked out of his hands. Body's on the deck, away with it Dixon, and we get a foul that's going to go against Duke in the scramble for the loose ball, and both teams are in the bonus. So that foul going against the Blue Devils. And it'll be free throws at the other end for North Carolina. Free throws for Derek Dixon, who was the one fouled. After the turnover by Boozer, the foul goes on Hemenia. Dixon hits the front end of the 1-and-1. One more free throw here for Derek Dixon. Gatorade Player of the Year in 2025 out of Washington, D.C. Hits both free throws. Brings North Carolina to within 6. Cameron Boozer to inbound it, does to Caden, who gets doubled in full court pressure. Now Cameron throws it ahead. Harris drives in from the right, gets to the rim, lays it up, too strong off the glass, no good. Vessar the rebound, spits it out in transition. Dixon hits a trailer, and it comes right back to Dixon, who then hits a three off the right wing, and a timeout is taken by Duke. Dixon hits a three in transition, and this is now a 3-point game as John Shire calls the use it or lose it timeout. ACC action today. Of course, next week the ACC tournament in Charlotte. We'll bring you all four quarterfinals of the ACC tournament next week on Thursday, then the semifinals on Friday, and the final on Saturday. ACC results today. Virginia beat Virginia Tech. Boston College beat Notre Dame by 8. Clemson with a win over Georgia Tech, 79-76. That was a needed win by a Clemson team that's really been faltering down the stretch. Louisville went on the road to beat Miami. Florida State with a win over SMU. SMU seems to be sliding so far down. They might not make the tournament, the NCAA tournament, that is. Stanford with a win at NC State. That's another one, and NC State not trending well down the stretch. Wake Forest beat California 80-73, and Pittsburgh won on the road in overtime at Syracuse. Duke inbounds out of the timeout. North Carolina has scored 8 points in a row. Darren Harris bounce pass out wide on the left. Caden Boozer into Cameron, left of the lane. Vessar defends. Boozer faces. Now he'll try to bat down Vessar. Gets around him to his left. Hesitation by Boozer, and he muscles it up and in off the glass. 37-32. Boozer in double figures. He's been in double figures every game this season. Here's Jonathan Powell for North Carolina. Steps back from the foul line. Top of the circle. Takes the jumper. Misses short. Caden Boozer the rebound. Towards the final minute of this first half. Caden up top for Cameron. Cameron running start at Vessar. Gets to the rim with some bully ball, and Cam scores with the right hand. 12.6 rebound first half for Cameron Boozer. He had 24 in Chapel Hill a month ago. It's 39-32. 4 straight points to Duke out of the timeout. Vessar left of the lane. It's Cam that defends. It's swung up top. Trimble catches. Lines up a straight on three that misses, but Vessar is there to dunk down the putback. Lack of size in the middle for Duke, with Malik Brown on the bench with 2 fouls and Patrick Gungba out of the game. Shot clock turned off for Duke as Cameron Boozer crosses the timing line with 20 seconds to go in the first half. Left-handed dribble. Vessar giving plenty of space on the perimeter. It's Boozer along with his brother Caden, then Haminia, Harris, and Sarr. Here's Cam Boozer. Gets to the arc, top of the lane. He'll shoot a 3 off the heel, and the rebound goes out of bounds over the top of the backboard. It'll go back to North Carolina with 3 seconds and change left in the half. So 3 seconds to go in the half. And North Carolina will try to get a shot off, and they could get a good shot off. Vessar will throw it into the front court where it's caught by Trimble, and a timeout is taken by North Carolina as Trimble catches it in the front court, so that gets them into better shooting range. And we'll wait for the final 2 seconds of this first half. Duke will go into the locker room with the lead. Will it be 5 or will it be less? If North Carolina can knock down a shot here right before the half comes to an end. Duke won a 31-game winning streak at home, but North Carolina has won 10 of the last 20 meetings that these two have had in Cameron Indoor Stadium, and 3 of the last 5. Duke team that is 110-6 all-time when playing at home and ranked number 1 in the country. Trimble will inbound far side front court. Malik Brown is on the floor with 2 fouls defensively for this last possession. Trimble with a lob up for Stevenson. It was knocked away by Cameron Boozer, recovered by Jonathan Powell, who throws up a shot from the right baseline that hit the side of the glass. And that is the end of the first half, with number 1 Duke on top of North Carolina 39-34. Game in which Caleb Wilson, of course, we were made aware of yesterday, would not play and would not play for the rest of this season with a broken thumb. And then Patrick Gungba did not start and does not appear as if he's going to play. Didn't play at all in the first half for Duke. And then in the middle portions of the first half, Caleb Foster, the Duke starting point guard, went out after rolling his right ankle and has not returned. We'll try to get you an update on Foster if we can. Halftime, Duke leading 39-34, will return for the second half. Ready for the start of the second half at Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina, where top-ranked Duke leads the Tar Heels 39-34 at halftime. We do have some news out of the locker room here before we get this second half started. Caleb Foster has been confirmed. Caleb Foster will miss the rest of this game with a right foot injury. Patrick Gungba, meanwhile, he came out of the locker room from halftime in a walking boot. So Duke, with two extremely enormous and key injuries in this game. Gungba, of course, never played in the game, and Foster went out about halfway through the first half. This has become a very thin group. They'll have to see it out tonight in a 7-man rotation. And a North Carolina team that cleaned up their rebounding and turnover errors in the first half and got within 5. They trailed by 12 at halftime in the game these two teams played a month ago and came back to win, of course, at home. They trail by 5 here tonight. It'll be the Tar Heels inbounding to start the second half. Jaron Stevenson gets the ball in, and the second half gets underway with the Tar Heels controlling. Derek Dixon is able to get it to Luka Bogovac up top. He swings it left, and Dixon's open again, and he launches a three and knocks it down. Clean look, and Dixon swishes a three to start the second half. He's into double figures for North Carolina. What a great shooter from three he's become this season. Malik Brown and Isaiah Evans both start the second half with 2 fouls each. Evans gets it in for Cameron Boozer. Now to Caden from the foul line. Drives in, takes a bump from Dixon, and is able to lift it up and in with the right hand. Caden Boozer with the basket. Seth Trimble at the other end. Feeds it left on the wing. Bogovac is open, and he's able to knock down a three as well. So back-to-back threes to start the second half for North Carolina. One by Dixon, one by Bogovac. Brings this into a 1-point game. Caden Boozer for Duke skips to his left, directs it for Cameron, top of the circle. Turns and faces Trimble defensively. Cam trying to get space, draws a double, flips it left corner. Sarr extra feed to the wing. Evans for three. Missed it short. Rebound Vessar. Outletted for Dixon, and North Carolina has a chance to grab the lead. Dixon tries to float it in for Stevenson, who got positioning on Evans. Evans pulled him back. That's a foul on Evans, his third. So a third foul on Isaiah Evans comes less than 90 seconds into the second half. So already a thin Duke team with these injuries, and now Evans with a third foul. Carolina inbounds it. Bogovac feeds it left. Trimble, entry feed. Stevenson with a size advantage on Caden Boozer. Cuts it outside. Trimble for Bogovac. Top of the arc. He'll launch a step-back three. Off the back of the rim, no good. Rebound down to Caden Boozer. Duke with the ball, and Caden brings it up. Reverses it. Cameron, top of the arc. His three is up and down. Cameron Boozer had a big first half. He's going to have a big second half for Duke to win this game with all the injuries down the stretch. He's at 15 points. He's eclipsed that 14-point mark again. He has not been held under 14 points all season. Here's Trimble on the deck, driving at Evans with those 3 fouls. Hits the break, swirls it out. Bogovac crosses over. Vessar supplies a screen. Bogovac swings it along to the right wing. Dixon drives, kicks. Bogovac up, left wing three, hard off the front of the rim, no good. Cameron Boozer the rebound and outlet. Sarr drives in and draws a contact and a foul that goes against Derek Dixon on the floor. So Dixon called for the foul. And let's see if Duke is able to get to the finish line in this game with just a 7-man rotation, and 2 injuries just so huge for both players. Here's Evans off the inbounds pass, launching a left wing three and knocking it down. His second three of the night. Still on the floor with those 3 fouls. John Shire probably doesn't feel like he can take them out with just 3. Stevenson at the other end of the right lane line, twisting and turning and shooting a fadeaway jumper over Cameron Boozer that goes down. Stevenson in the mid-range knocks down the shot. He's got 10 points. 8th game of the year for Stevenson in double-figure scoring. 5-point game, Cameron Boozer has the ball. Top of the key, puts it on the deck, drives at Vessar, flips it up with the right hand, and it slides off the left side of the rim, no good. Rebound Carolina, Trimble hits the Jets, goes hard to the rim and banks it in with the right hand. What an angle used there by Trimble as he banks in the runner, and we get a whistle. And play has stopped here as it looks like Trimble might have lost an eye contact, I think. At least that's what it's looking like here, as if, yeah, he's gone back to the he's gone to the North Carolina bench, and it looks like they're trying to put a contact back in his eye, which has to be one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're playing a basketball game. It's probably not easy to locate the contact and then get it back in. But it looks like they have gotten him set over there and we're ready for play to restart. Trimble has good vision as a player. Needs the vision with his contacts here. As Duke inbounds it, Caden Boozer brings it across the timing line into the front court to our left. Puts it on the deck, drives in hard, and draws a foul. As Caden Boozer initiated a drive and drew a foul against Trimble. And that will send Caden to the free throw line here for Duke. Beg your pardon, they're calling that foul on the floor, so Duke will inbound it. They do into the right corner for Evans, who launches a three, which misses off the front of the rim, and the rebound brought down by North Carolina. And here comes Dixon, who will start the offensive engine for North Carolina. Gets it on the right baseline. Stevenson trying to back in on Cameron Boozer. Fadeaway jumper in the paint, missed off the heel, and it's Boozer who's there to lasso in the rebound. Ahead for Caden. Caden hits the jet, stops right elbow, flushes it back out for Malik Brown. Brown shoots it for Boozer off the left wing. Cam on the outside. Takes a screen from Dame Sarr, centers for Caden. Caden picked up defensively by Derek Dixon after a switch. Back off the right wing, Evans. Shot clock at 8. Evans entry feed Cameron. Back up top, Malik Brown. Extra feed, Caden. Left wing 3. Skyward and down. Caden Boozer hits a big 3, shooting less than 30% from 3 on the season. Able to stroke that one in from long range. Makes it 50-44 in what has been a tight game throughout. Seth Trimble at the other end for North Carolina, off the left wing, stashes it into the corner for Bogovac. Now it's Vessar. Vessar against Brown. Handoff for Bogovac. Trying to deny it was Caden Boozer, but Caden's called for a reach-in foul. And that will lead to a timeout on the floor with under 16 minutes left in regulation time. Duke ahead by 6. 50-44 in front of North Carolina. We'll return in a moment. Timeout on the floor. Just north of 15 minutes to go in regulation time. North Carolina inbounds. Luka Bogovac feeds it up top for Jaron Stevenson. Drifts left and feeds it on the wing. Dixon shoots it to Vessar on the left elbow. His pass to the inside stolen by Cameron Boozer. And here comes Duke in transition. Caden stops right of the lane. Centers for Brown. Feeds it on the left wing. Evans drives in. Kicks out Brown. Then given to the left corner. Boozer shot fake and drive. Kick to the wing. Evans up for three. No. Offensive rebound kept alive. And here's Caden Boozer. Back to Evans. Entry feed Cameron. Draws a double. Cross-court feed, right corner Sarr. He launches up a three and knocks it down. And the offensive rebounding of Duke, such a huge advantage for this team to get second and third opportunities. And they get 3 points out of that second chance, with Sarr hitting his second one of the night. North Carolina at the other end, trying to respond. Stevenson shoots a straight-on line drive. Three misses short. Sarr, the rebound, gallops ahead, then hits the break, stops on the left wing, and centers for Brown. Duke's lead at 9. Caden outside right. Entry feed Cameron. Draws a double. Backpedals to the corner. Feeds it up top Evans. Extra pass. Sarr catches in the left corner. Shoots another three. Misses off the side of the rim. Vessar and Brown scrapping for the rebound. Vessar got it. Punched it ahead for Bogovac, who puts it on the deck and had it stolen by Caden. And it's taken away by Sarr, who in transition, no one can stop him from going to the rim and throwing it down with the right hand. Transition dunk for Sarr, and suddenly Duke's lead balloons to 11 with an 8-0 run. Derek Dixon slashes left, and an offensive foul is called on Jaron Stevenson, who is trying to set a screen on Sarr, who is fired up and is getting the Cameron Crazies more fired up as well. So Sarr hits a three, is able to steal the ball off the Caden strip and dunk it down in transition, and then draws an offensive foul on the very next defensive series. What a run of what a run from Dame Sarr. Duke needed someone to step up on the kind of night it's been. Here's Caden, entry feed for Cameron, right of the lane, backs in on high, swings it to the left corner, bobbled, recovered by Evans, drives to the left elbow, reverses in the corner. Brown fires up a three and knocks down one of his own. And the lead is the largest it's been tonight, and I think Hubert Davis wants a timeout, and he does. Timeout, Carolina, as Duke has their largest lead of the night at 14 points. Malik Brown hitting the three, just his 5th of the season. Timeout. It is an 11-0 run that the Duke Blue Devils are on, and they have created their largest bit of separation all night long, a 14-point lead with just north of 13 minutes to go in regulation time. Hubert Davis calling a timeout after Dame Sarr had a heck of a sequence. He hit a three, he got a steal and a transition dunk, and then he drew an offensive foul, and then right after that, Malik Brown hit just his 5th three of the night. Brown with 13 points on the night as North Carolina inbounds it, trying to reel Duke back in. Trimble and Dixon play catch on the perimeter, and Trimble runs into Brown while trying to put it on the deck and draws a foul on the floor against Brown. That'll be his 3rd. Meanwhile, Caleb Foster has rejoined the Duke bench with a boot on his right foot. Of course, Patrick Gungba returned from halftime also wearing a boot on his foot as well, as off the North Carolina inbound, Sarr knifes it out of bounds away from Trimble. Nicholas Haminia will check in here for the Blue Devils. Freshman from Los Angeles. Malik Brown, after picking up the 3rd foul to the bench to get a breather. Inbound Dixon up top. Feeds it Trimble, now high. Lofts it back for Dixon outside left. Sarr defends. Shot to the top of the circle for High, now for Trimble again. Top of the arc, 3 on a step back, blocked by Evans. Recovered by Cameron Boozer. Ahead in transition, Evans hits Haminia. Haminia drives in from the right, leans in. Bank shot doesn't go, but he draws a foul. And Nicholas Haminia will go to the free throw line. Haminia averaging 19 minutes a game off the bench, only played 4 minutes in that meeting in Chapel Hill. First free throw misses short for Haminia. Fourteen-point lead for Duke, and they've certainly started to clamp down defensively. Haminia misses the second free throw, but Cameron Boozer gets the rebound. Kicks it out to Haminia to launch a left-wing 3 off the heel. Fight for the rebound, it's still free, and Caden Boozer comes up with it for Duke. And the possession continues for the Blue Devils. Caden entry feed for Cameron. Stops left of the lane on the baseline. He'll back in on Vessar with 10 to shoot. Cameron fakes left, spins right, looks up with the left hand, muscles it up and in off the glass. 2 offensive rebounds on that trip, and a tough basket in tight for Cameron Boozer, who's got 17 points. North Carolina ball again. High. Outside right, drives in at Haminia, banks it up, too strong, no good. Cameron Boozer the rebound and outlet. Sarr turns on the Jets, drives right into Kyan Evans, and draws a foul on the floor. Dame Sarr really with an electrifying last couple of minutes for the Blue Devils. A 16-point Duke lead here, the largest lead they've had tonight. Inbound will come underneath from Caden Boozer, who gets it into the left corner for Evans, who fakes a 3, pulls it down and gets it back towards the middle of the floor. Now loops it in towards Cameron Boozer. It's over his head and stolen by Zayden High. So a Duke turnover, and here comes Carolina back up with it, and they need to go on a run here. Kyan Evans on the ball, skips right, feeds the elbow. High, bounces it for Stevenson, who turns, looks towards the basket from the foul line. Tries to wriggle free from Haminia and draws a whistle. And a foul on the floor going against Duke, and it's going against Haminia. Stressful times, as you might imagine, for a lot of Duke fans, with the mystery of the injuries to important pieces like Gungba and Foster. And for North Carolina fans, of course, they've had a little over 24 hours to try to digest the news that they won't see Caleb Wilson again this year. Here's Trimble off the inbound right lane line, washing it back outside for a drive down the middle and a floater by Jonathan Powell that would not fall, and it's swatted out of bounds off Dame Sarr last. It'll stay with the Tar Heels. Dame Sarr looking over, wanted John Shire to challenge it, and the coach with the tablet has told John Shire, yes, he believes that it should be a challenge, and John Shire's going to use his coach's challenge here. As Dame Sarr and Zayden High were battling for that ball. And the Duke coaching staff believes that High was the one that touched it last rather than Sarr. So they'll take a look at it. Normally when you have the coach with the tablet being so definitive in the telling of the head coach to challenge, normally you get a good idea that it's probably a good challenge. We'll see. North Carolina's gone 5.5 minutes without scoring, and Duke is on a 13-0 run in that stretch to now lead by 16. Their halftime lead was 5. Duke shooting 47% from the field. North Carolina at 43%. And the Blue Devils have hit 9 out of 25 from 3. Carolina's gone 6 of 17. Duke is +3 in rebounding and +4 in offensive rebounds. As this challenge continues, Hubert Davis in a huddle with his team. John Shire in a huddle on the other side, of course. Shire, 38 years old. Davis at age 55. Each played 4 seasons at the schools that they now coach. John Shire, 117-24 as the Duke head coach, 64-13 in ACC play. Just incredible what he has done since taking over for the great Mike Krzyzewski, and they have come back off the challenge and reversed the call, so it will be Duke ball, as Dame Sarr expected it would be. What a second half Dame Sarr has had. 16-point Duke lead with just over 11 minutes to go, and the Blue Devils will inbound. And Caden Boozer will bring it up from our right to our left. Duke in home white uniforms, royal blue numbers and trim. Caden Boozer stops on the right wing. Jaron Stevenson defends. Bounce pass Evans. A deep three that he knocks down. Isaiah Evans with his third three of the night and Duke's 10th. And it's now 16 consecutive points for Duke to push this lead from 3 to 19. And now a steal at the other end. Haminia knocked it away. Caden Boozer stole it, but at the other end it's stolen back by Jonathan Powell. North Carolina in transition out of a scramble gets a wide open dunk for Seth Trimble. And that will stop that 16-0 run. 63-46. Duke has taken command of this game here in the second half. Here's Cameron Boozer, left of the lane, spinning on High, hesitates, goes up strong, misses, gets his own rebound back. High off the glass, no, gets another offensive rebound, spins right, hooks it up this time and down. 2 offensive rebounds from Cameron Boozer on the same trip, and now he's got 19 points and 13 rebounds. What a rebounding machine he is. Carolina ball, Evans outside left, step back 3 over Cameron, way off the window, no good. Caden Boozer the rebound, Duke on an 18-2 run. Defense smothering the Tar Heels here, just past the midway point of the second half. Caden right-handed dribble, top of the arc, drifts to his right. High defends, Caden entry feed, Cameron turning off the catch, got fouled by Trimble. They got Trimble to switch on to Cameron, and, well, that was a mismatch. Trimble called for his third foul. Well, what a stretch this has been for Duke to explode to the front and create separation, and Cameron Boozer goes to the bench to get a much-deserved breather. Duke will inbound from underneath. Caden trying to get it in. He does. Far right corner to Evans. Bogovac defends. Evans puts it on the deck, drives in, leans in with the right hand, banks it up, no good, but he draws a foul. It's on Bogovac, and Evans, second best free throw shooter in the ACC, will go to the line. So Evans to the line here, 89% from the line. And his first free throw, right on cue after saying all of that, is no good. Missed it off the back of the rim. One more to go. Of course, the Duke women's basketball team, they're playing for the ACC tournament title. Evans misses the second one, but Jimena runs down an offensive rebound, gives it back to Evans, strokes a left wing three that misses. Rebound popcorns around, North Carolina controls. Dixon slithers in, all the way to the rim. He goes, and his layup is blocked by Jimena. Taken out of the pile by Evans. He accelerates to the rim, scoops it up off the glass. No. Put back by Brown. No. He kicks it out into the left corner. Harris fumbles it, keeps it in bounds. Evans in the lane, fakes left, goes right, now goes back left, hooks it up. No. Kept alive by Brown. Back to Evans, soaring in for a two-handed slam. But there's a whistle as Brown and Vessar both ended up on the deck. What a wild sequence, my gosh. The offensive rebounding of the Blue Devils, just incredible, but doesn't look like they're going to count that basket from Evans in the end. At least, well, now they are. They're saying yes. Not sure what the whistle was for, other than Vessar and Brown got tangled up and both went down. Vessar ended up landing on Brown. Duke doesn't need another injury tonight. So they do count the dunk from Evans. And he will now go to the bench to get a breather. As North Carolina inbounds, Duke is on a 20-2 run to go from a 3-point lead to a 21-point lead. Here's Bogovac. Off the right elbow, swings it out to Vessar. Jab step at Brown. Now he'll put it on the deck. Brown stands his ground. Vessar right of the lane, turning right, and he got called for a travel. Brown locked him up defensively, and Vessar is called for the travel. And North Carolina, a team that commits less than 10 turnovers a game, has committed 12 tonight. Duke brings it back up with Caden Boozer. Caden directs right, zigzags left, feeds it for Sarr. Now it's off to Brown. On the left wing with Vessar defending. Brown hands off. Jimena turns the corner. Gets a paint touch against Stevenson, who covers him up. Lofted back to the outside for Sarr. Shot clock at 7. Sarr centered for Brown. Shot clock at 4. Brown a jab step. Shoots a straight on three. He's made one already tonight. This one is an air ball that goes out of bounds untouched and will lead to a timeout with 8 minutes to go. A 20-2 Duke run. North Carolina has turned the ball over 5 times in the last 9 minutes. They've missed 7 of their last 8 shots, and they now trail by 21. Duke in command at Cameron. Duke on an incredible run here, a 20-2 stretch to open this lead in what was a tight game. North Carolina inbounds and brings the ball up into the front court to our right. Swings for Bogovac in from the right, dumps it back to the perimeter. Dixon centers for Bogovac again. He takes a Vessar screen, tries to whip it into him, knocked away by Brown. Stolen by Sarr. Sarr in transition, stops on the foul line. Swings it back out for Cameron Boozer, who puts it on the deck, drives in from the left, spins on the block, kicks it back up top for Sarr to reset the offense. Sarr drives in, throws up a lob, and Malik Brown is there to crank it down. What a night Malik Brown has had, a season-high 15 points. Duke's lead up to 23. Trimble feeds it inside on a loop for Stevenson, left of the lane, backs in on Caden Boozer, outside to Trimble, drives at Cameron. Trimble cuts left, zigzags back right, middle of the paint, lays it off on a handoff for Vessar, who tries to back it on Boozer. Boozer stands his ground. Vessar out Bogovac. Left elbow jumper with the shot clock winding down, off the rim, no good. Rebound swatted by Brown, taken by Caden. Looped ahead Sarr, given into the right corner. Harris up for three, missed off the front. Rebound Stevenson. Bogovac feeds the right corner, wide open for three. Trimble with a wide open miss. And Malik Brown secures another rebound, and Duke is now out-rebounding North Carolina 39-26, and Duke will start to slow the tempo down. Cameron Boozer standing on the midcourt logo just north of 6 minutes to go. Picked up defensively by Jaron Stevenson. Sarr comes out for a screen. Boozer cuts left, shot clock at 6, he's at the top of the arc, and beyond the 3. Changes direction, drives at Stevenson, puts it up off the glass with the right hand. It doesn't fall, but he draws a foul with the shot clock inside of 2. Foul called on Stevenson. Free throws coming for Cameron Boozer. North Carolina has missed 10 of their last 11 shots from the field. And Cameron Boozer at the line. His first free throw is good. 78% from the line this season. Coming up on the channel after we're done here at about 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Ohio Valley Conference Tournament Final. Former Duke National Championship winning player Nolan Smith coaching Tennessee State against Morehead State for a trip to the NCAA tournament. Boozer's second free throw is good. 21 points for Cameron Boozer. He's over the 20-point mark yet again, 18th time this season. North Carolina ball, straightaway 3. Dixon misses off the heel. Rebound controlled by Malik Brown. A 24-2 run with under 6 minutes to go. Malik Brown, top of the arc, gives it up for Sarr. Sarr comes straight away. Feeds Cameron Boozer on the left wing. Stevenson defends. Boozer inside. Hemenia with a catch towards the rim. He goes, misses the shot with the right hand in tight. Rebound Carolina. Nice pass in transition by Seth Trimble. He finds a cutting Jaden Young, who lays it in. And it's 71-48. Caden Boozer back into the front court here for the Blue Devils. He and his brother play catch on the perimeter. Cameron left-handed hip-high dribble. Sarr takes a screen, and Stevenson switches on to him. So it's Dixon defending Cameron Boozer, who shovels it inside. Brown catches, kicks right corner. Caden wide open for 3, misses too strong. High the rebound, knifed out of bounds by Brown. It'll stay with Carolina. ACC tournament, all the seeding starting to crystallize. Florida State and California will be the 8-9 second-round game on Wednesday, and the winner of that game will then play Duke in the quarterfinals on Thursday as Carolina brings it up, and High gets to the rim and glances it in off the glass with the right hand. North Carolina will be the number 4 seed as Time continues to tick down here in what has been a runaway second half here at Cameron Indoor Stadium after Duke's halftime lead was only 5. Brown up top, centers for Cameron Boozer. Directed off to the left wing, Evans tried to thread it in for Boozer, knocked away and stolen. Dixon on the steal in transition. Trimble throws up a lob, and Stevenson is unable to catch it, and it's out of bounds to Duke. A lot of turnovers tonight for North Carolina, which they're not used to committing. That's number 14. The ACC tournament bracket, in fact, is fully set after play today. Duke and North Carolina were already into their seeding positions of 1 and 4, respectively. So the first round on Tuesday, Wake Forest will play Virginia Tech, SMU will play Syracuse, and Stanford will play Pittsburgh. And then in the second round on Wednesday, you'll have Florida State and California play in the 8-9 game. Clemson is the 5 seed, Louisville is the 6, NC State the 7. And then the top 4 seeds that get the double bye, Duke is the 1, Virginia the 2, Miami the 3, and North Carolina the 4. Duke inbounds and brings it up. Caden entry feed for Cameron. Gets into the paint. Cameron leans in, banks it up with the right hand, and drops it down to make it 73-50. 23 points and 13 rebounds for Cameron Boozer. Seth Trimble at the other end, behind the back dribble, gets inside the foul line, kicks it out, right wing 3, Zayden High, banks it in. 7th 3 of the night for North Carolina as High hits that one. Not a guy that takes a lot of threes. Caden back into the front court, 20-point lead for Duke. Caden left-handed dribble on the wing. Entry feed for Cameron. Swings it cross court. Wide open corner look for Hemenya, and that 3 rattles off. Rebound down to the Tar Heels. Off the Hemenya miss. Dixon the other way, and he'll let a 3 fly, and he knocks it down off the right wing, and we get a timeout on the floor. As Derek Dixon hits his 4th 3 of the night, makes the margin 17. Final 3 minutes, Duke heading towards another win to finish ACC play 17-1. 2:55 left in regulation time. Duke inbounding out of the timeout, and Caden Boozer gets it and faces full court press, and now Cameron throws it ahead, and it's knocked out of bounds by Derek Dixon, so it will stay with Duke, leading by 17. Have led by as many as 25. Sarr inbounds it into the backcourt. Caden catches and brings it across the timing line again. Plays catch with Cameron on the perimeter. And Caden has it back. Centers for Evans. Shoveled on the left wing, Sarr. Entry feed for Cameron. Knocked out of bounds by Dixon. Stays with Duke with about 2.5 to go. Cameron Boozer with another heck of a game. He leads Duke tonight in scoring, rebounding, and assists. He'll inbound it here near side front court in for Brown, who had a huge night starting in place of Gungba. Here's Sarr outside right, centering for Evans, who puts it on the deck, drives up the middle, goes up for a slam that he misses. Cameron Boozer with an offensive rebound and a reset for Duke. That's their 17th offensive rebound of the night off the Evans missed slam. Here's Caden outside right, up top for Cameron, a jab step with the shot clock at 5. Now he'll drive. He gets past his man Young to the rim and draws a foul as he misses the layup as he got hit from behind. And it will be free throws for Cameron Boozer as he'll try to get up to 24 points. Season high 15 points tonight for Malik Brown. 3 threes from Isaiah Evans. Dame Sarr at a stretch in this second half where he had a heck of a one heck of a sequence where he hit a 3, got a steal and dunked it in transition, then drew an offensive foul. Cameron Boozer misses the first free throw. One more for the front runner for National Player of the Year. Knocks down the second. Ohio Valley Conference Tournament Final between Tennessee State and Morehead State coming up on the channel next. Tomorrow, full day of action, NASCAR at Phoenix, SEC Women's Tournament Final. Will also be tomorrow as Dixon hooks a pass across the floor up top for Trimble. Trimble feeds it back and Vessar's open for 3, but there's a whistle first. Foul going against Malik Brown on the floor. His 4th. It's a win for Duke in a game where they were massive favorites. About 17.5 point favorite, I believe, is what it closed as, which was a huge number in this rivalry. As off the inbounds pass, Dixon launches a straight-on 3 and hits again. He's been hitting 3s tonight. 5 hits from downtown for Derek Dixon. Off the inbounds pass, Caden Boozer gets doubled, and he slings it into the front court for Brown to break the press. But Gungba never played. Foster went out middle of the first half as Cameron puts it on the deck, drives, and cranks down a two-handed slam, an exclamation mark here. In the final 90 seconds, at the other end, a lob up top by Dixon is thrown down on a dunk by Vessar to make it 76-61. It's all academic from here. Inbound to Caden. Again, they trap him with a double. He splits it and throws it across to Cameron, who's then able to forward it for Dame Sarr. And Sarr shapes it into the front court for Brown, who returns it for Cameron as we hit the final minute. Duke by 15. They led by as many as 25. Their halftime lead was only 5, and then they just constricted the life out of this North Carolina team. Boozer on a crossover, running floater. Looks like it was partially blocked out of bounds. There's 1 second on the shot clock, and Duke will inbound it. 1.3 on the shot clock. Inbound from underneath. Caden trying to get it in. He does, outside right. Sarr with a 3 that got blocked by Trimble. So it's a shot clock violation, which will give it back over to North Carolina. It will be a 32nd straight home victory for Duke. That's the longest active home winning streak, and John Shire is able to go into his bench here on senior night. Gets to bring in a couple of seniors, Cameron Sheffield and Jack Scott. get to check into this game as Isaiah Evans exits. North Carolina brings it up the floor. Dixon rises up, a quick three taken and missed. Cameron Boozer the rebound. And Duke brings it into the front court with about a 1 second difference between shot clock and game clock. It won't be, a huge blowout number the way a lot of these games have been down the stretch into the month of March for Duke, but it will be what looks to be a 15-point victory on a night where they led by as many as 25. They were in control for the entirety of the second half, despite not having Patrick Gungba for the entirety of the game and Caleb Foster for most of it. They take a shot clock violation with a second to go. And the Devils get their revenge on the heels with a dominant victory at home, 76-61. The final score as the Blue Devils knock down the Tar Heels to avenge the loss from a month ago. And they will go into the ACC tournament next week as the number 1 seed. That was already determined before the day. They finished the ACC season going 17-1 in conference play. 1 conference loss in each of the last 2 seasons. A remarkable 2-season run of dominance in the ACC for Jon Scheyer's Duke Blue Devils. Of course, there will be immediate concern after the page gets flipped from this game and the team gets ready to go to Charlotte for the ACC tournament. There will be immediate concern for the health of both Patrick Gungba and Caleb Foster, 2 enormous contributors to this team. Gungba the starting center, Foster the starting point guard and a veteran presence. And of course, everyone in the Duke circle will certainly be looking to keep up with all of the injury reports they can get throughout the week before they play either Florida State or California on Thursday night in the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament. Malik Brown with a career-high scoring, or a season-high scoring night rather, 15 points. He also added in 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 steals. Quite a night from him, filling in for the injured Patrick Gungba. Cam Boozer ends with 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists on 10 of 17 shooting. Duke out-rebounded the Tar Heels 42-29, then they ended the night with 18 offensive rebounds. An incredible night for Duke, particularly in the second half where they dominated the entire half. They led by 5 at the break. They outscored North Carolina in the second half 37-27. And the final score, not even really indicative of how dominant they were. Duke led by as many as 25 points at 71-46. And then North Carolina ended the game in garbage time on a 15-5 run to cut into the margin. So Duke wins it. They finish the regular season 29-2, 17-1 in the ACC. They certainly seem to have the inside track for the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Hard to imagine anything happening in Charlotte next week to keep them from being a 1 seed in the tournament, which, of course, gets started here in a couple of weeks. Only a few days away from the start of the ACC tournament, which, of course, is, it's the greatest conference tournament in all of college basketball, and we'll be excited to bring you the quarters, semis, and the final from the ACC tournament next week. Duke and North Carolina are the 1 and 4 seeds, respectively, in that tournament in Charlotte next week. Coming up next in about 15 minutes, it's the Ohio Valley Conference Tournament Final between Tennessee State and Morehead State. Seth Eves will have the call there for a trip to the NCAA tournament, which is on the line there. We will see you for a full day tomorrow as well, which includes NASCAR and plenty of college basketball. So long from Durham. Duke wins it over North Carolina, 70.